Welcome to another episode with your chapter crush sweetheart. This is Everblue Presents More Than Enough, a chapter crush sweetheart series. Nicholas, Chapter 7, The Road Less Traveled. When the door to Bryony's room opens, despite my anger, I brace myself for the ever-present kaleidoscope of butterflies. They don't fail to impress upon seeing her fully kitted up. Keys, I ask, with my hand out. She huffs as she unzips a pocket on her motor jacket and drops the motorbike key in my hand. Thanks, I say, nodding towards the stairway. Without another word, we swiftly descend the stairs, passing through a side door to step out into the sunshine near her waiting Honda Goldwing. It's a large bike for Bryony, but with the amount of lorries traveling these country roads, I need her to stand a chance of being seen. Bad enough she still hasn't told her family that she rides motorbikes. I have every confidence she can handle it, but there's no way anything can happen to her on my watch. Pulling our matching black and blue helmets from the top box, or trunk space as Bryony calls it, I hand hers over without a word. After getting our gear on, I slide on my gloves and take a seat, waiting for her to climb on behind me as I start up the bike. "Can you hear me?" I ask, after linking the comms. "Clearly," Bryony responds dryly. It's the same joke every time, but it still makes me smile. Annoying since she knows I'm upset. As I back out of the parking stall and pull into the street, I'm unprepared for Bryony's hands to settle at my waist. Correction. The butterflies were unprepared, and now they're rioting. This is far from my first time riding with her. During a film shoot for an action movie about 3 years ago, I was required to do some minor stunts on a motorbike. I've been riding since I was 18, but wanted to make it look as natural as possible, so I bought a bike to get a ride in every day. During the first month of a 4-month shoot, Bryony questioned me endlessly about them, until one night, after dinner, I offered to take her out on it. I thought she'd be like Evie and decide after one ride it was too scary and give up. I should have known better. All it took was one ride and my little daredevil was in love. After a couple of weeks with her tagging along on my nightly rides, she begged me to teach her how to ride. It was the most harrowing 3 days of my life. Thankfully, she got the hang of it quickly. Now, I dare say, she rides better than I do. Still, if her hands had felt like this wrapped around me when I took her out the first time, she may have never learned to ride. As 'tis, I'm wondering if it's a mistake to bring her along. Instead of dwelling on it, I focus on steadying my breathing as I open up the throttle on the empty country road. "Where are we going?" Bryony's warm voice comes over the comms a few minutes later as we pass the film set at the airfield. "Just need to clear my head." My voice sounds strained to my own ears, and I can only hope she chalks it up to what happened back at the hotel. She falls silent, but her hands tighten around my waist, which makes me want to simultaneously pull her closer and jump off the bike. Eventually, the quiet hum of the motor and her presence calm my mind enough to enjoy it. We've been cruising through the green English countryside, passing through small towns with the crisp spring air flowing around us for some time before I realized we should get dinner. After another 20 minutes, I pull into the car park at a pub. "Where are we?" Bryony asks, using my leg to keep her balance as she climbs down. "Nottingham," I respond briskly as she pulls off her helmet and fluffs a curly bob before stretching. "Why?" She frowns, looking around at the little houses on either side of the street in front of the short white building that houses the pub. I look away as I pull off my own helmet. "'Cause I fancy some chips, and I don't need the judgment the crew would likely have if they saw me eating them." her brows rise incredulously. I've never known you to break your diet. And besides that, you don't care about other people's judgment or criticism. So what gives? Well, there is one person's judgment and criticism I fear a great deal. Let's get inside first. I sigh. After removing the rest of my protective gear, I lock it away with Bryony's in the top box. Holding open the pub door, we enter the dated establishment with its wood tables, cushiony grey chairs, and colourful carpeting. The abundance of windows allows the warm afternoon sunlight to splash around the semi-full dining room, and as I direct Bryony to a table, pulling out a chair for her, I can feel the eyes of the other diners on us. "I'll just see the barman," I mention, dropping my jacket on the back of my chair. After speaking to the landlord and signing a couple of autographs, I return to the table with the menus. I barely hear the buzz of other diners as I notice Bryony's removed her fitted jacket to reveal a soft red sweater beneath. It matches her lipstick. I blink. Was she wearing that before? "Come on, gang. The least you can do is flock together." I purse my lips, glancing away as I try to breathe through the flutter in my chest. Handing her a menu, I sit across from her staring blankly at my own. "We're just having a bite to eat like we do nearly every other night of the week. We've eaten out before, plenty of times. So why does this feel different?" "So," Bryony leans forward on an elbow with a raised brow and cheeky smile. "Explain yourself, sir. How long have you been cheating on me?" A couple of heads nearby spin round at that as I smile. "I thought you cared about my reputation, love. Do you plan to smash it to smithereens after so painstakingly building it up?" She laughs, her dimples winking at me gaily as she shrugs her shoulders. "Cheaters never prosper." I chuckle and lean forward. "Fair enough. But you should know, as my chef, I would never cheat on you, Bryony. Cheating on a diet's fair game, though, and I've been completely responsible." Bryony's cheeks grow pink, but she chuckles. "Define how you've been responsibly cheating on your diet." Uneasily running my hand along my jaw, I consider the question. "Well, no late night calls to room service, and it's only once or twice a year I'll crave chips and a burger. Usually when you're on vacation and I get peckish," I finish abashedly. As she sighs, shaking her head, Bryony quickly fluffs her curls the way she does when she's annoyed. "How many years?" I frown, thinking back. "About 3 years now." She's considering me thoughtfully, her eyes narrowing in concentration. "So, around the time I went on that family cruise and you decided to go to Monte Carlo and got sick?" I sit up, clearing my throat. "It was a stressful trip, and I got sick eating some chicken yogurt dish with raisins and rice." "So you said," she responds dryly. "But the point is, that's when you started cheating?" I lower my head like a chastened pet. "I'm sorry, Bri. If it makes you feel better, I never enjoyed it and always felt guilty after." She ducks behind the menu, covering her face. "Yeah, so guilty you kept doing it for 3 years and hid it from me." "I won't do it again." I smile. Her head snaps up, the laughter evident in her face. "What? Cheat on your diet?" "No, I have needs, but I'll always tell you from now on." "The cheek of this one!" Bryony playfully cries out. We both throw our heads back in laughter. "And this is it. I've been missing this easiness between us." When the server shows up with a pot of tea and 2 cups, ready to take our order, Bryony looks at me curiously. After we place our orders, I begin pouring our tea. While retrieving the menus from the landlord, I ordered it. I answer her unasked question. The lavender vanilla sounded quite nice, and I could really use something calming. After accepting her cup, she waits a beat before putting a hand on mine. Seeing our two hands together sends something diving in my stomach, but I can't think on that at the moment. So, forcing my eyes up, I focus on her velvety brown eyes instead. I'm really sorry that we had that disagreement earlier. She dips her chin sorrowfully. I heard what you said, and I think there's something you should know. Gazing at her intently, when she hesitates, I gently rub the back of her hand with my thumb. Go on, love. I'm listening. Bryony sighs. I agree with you. I don't enjoy being spoken to that way, but I endure it. I've endured a lot because I don't want any seeming lack of professionalism on my part to cast a bad light on you. I would feel terrible if my inability to keep my mouth shut meant you lost out on meaningful opportunities. Everything stills in me at once. She's been taking abuse so that I'm not negatively affected. But why? I frown but remain silent as she continues. I now understand that isn't what you expect of me or want. And while I'll do my best to maintain my professionalism, just know if you hear any wild stories about me in my mouth in the future, it's all your fault. That same pert mouth quirks up in a beautiful smile, but I can't bring myself to return it. I'm properly horrified. Bry, I had no idea you thought you had to trade on your dignity so I could keep my reputation intact. I'm glad you've told me, but I wish you'd told me sooner. Then I would have told you that you're never to sell your dignity for anyone. Her eyes reflect her surprise as I shake my head in disbelief, nauseated by the thought that she would do such a thing. There isn't a job opportunity on earth that's worth being mistreated over, neither yours nor mine. If someone can't see past the end of their nose and would rather hold us over a barrel to make themselves feel good, I suspect we wouldn't want to be associated with them in any meaningful way to begin with. Bryony's eyes widen as she gazes at me, looking awestruck as the impact of my words wash over her. She dips her chin in acknowledgement and we go back to sipping our tea. I think the subject's dropped until she quietly says, "Thank you, Nick, for always dignifying me." I grimace, shaking my head. No, love. Your dignity belongs entirely to you. God gives you dignity. It's not something I bestowed on you. I'm merely upholding it. Instantly, I'm branded so deeply by the tender look she gives me. I know I'll never forget it, even if I don't fully understand what it means. When she goes back to sipping her tea, I do the same, pondering that look. For the first time in weeks, I realized the butterfly gang is no longer a scattered buzz, but they've become a flock of starlings, synchronized. Sure, it's an interesting development. Does it mean this phase is almost over? Will we be able to return to normal? There's plenty of time to ponder it until our food arrives. Unlike being in London or anywhere in America, not many seem to recognize me in this quiet corner of the world. Or if they do, they don't let on. So I settle back and soak in the enjoyment of a quiet dinner with Bryony. As she stares out at the garden, a delicate smile plays at the corners of her mouth as she sips her tea. From my own taste of the tea, I know it isn't a superior blend, so that isn't what has her smiling like she has a secret. Just outside of the window, as the sun hovers over the horizon, two brave hawfinches swoop down from their perches high in the surrounding trees to sip at the small stone water fountain in the garden. The small green space is already in bloom with blue, red, pink, and yellow flowers, but it doesn't hold a candle to the woman sitting in front of me. It's a peaceful moment, and as I quietly sip my tea, drinking in briny, I realize I want this. I blink. I mean, I want to keep this. When I look up again, Bryony's gazing at me as if she can savor me too. I'm filled with a certain rightness of the moment, and if it weren't for the arrival of our food, I'm sure I could have sat there the whole of the evening wondering if forever were possible. After a lovely dinner where I fought off the chip pirate Bryony, we head out to capture what's left of the day. I thoroughly enjoyed my burger and chips as well as the scoop of beef and Guinness Bryony was forced to concede as reparations. She had the last laugh, though, as I was forced to watch her groan over how good her caramel apple pie was, while I nursed a second cup of tea. We laughed so hard when I tried to steal her last bite, and she hurried to dodge, shoving it in her mouth. I had to be satisfied with the tiny drop of caramel I was able to swipe from the plate. Bryony then forced me to allow her to pay for dinner, stating that it's a mark of true friendship. When she insisted that my paying wouldn't be anything different from what we always do, I finally agreed that it's only acceptable when done in commemoration of our friendship, but not as a habit. She simply winked over her shoulder as she stepped into the spring sunshine. As her arms slipped around me once again, I nosed the bike onto the road, knowing exactly where to go next. It's not another 20 minutes before we pull onto the Abbey Road into a parking space. Where are we? Bryony asks. I smile behind the shield of my helmet as she dismounts. This is Newstead Park. Taking off my helmet and packing my gear away, I point to the stone building rising near a stand of trees. That's Newstead Abbey. Lord Byron inherited this place as a lad, but he spent most of his life elsewhere, I hasten to add. Bryony fluffs her curls after pulling off her helmet, but stops mid-fluff with a frown, her gaze swinging to mine. Wait, the Lord Byron? I can't stop the smile spreading across my face. Yes, old Georgie boy himself, as you like to call him. Of the countless hours we've spent discussing poems and their famous composers, I most enjoy the times when we disagree. And there's always contention when discussing Lord Byron. I said what I said, she sniffs. A bark of laughter erupts from me, drawing disapproving looks from several visitors. I just laughed harder. Come on, let me show you around, I chuckle, offering my arm. I don't know why I do, nor do I know why she accepts, or why it feels right. Rather than question it, I allow myself to enjoy the peaceful stroll through the substantial gardens. While dodging the peacocks in the quiet green estate, I point out various features of the property. Usually when we're in England, I'm filming in London, with very little time for venturing outside of the busy capital. It's been a pleasant change to film around the countryside again after many years. As we're leisurely, as we're leisurely stroll, as we leisurely stroll through the different gardens, some parts manicured, others overgrown, I tell Bryony about the many times Evie and I have come here with our parents. Bryony laughs at tales of our escapades, occasionally asking questions. Is it typical to travel around visiting places like this on summer vacation? Settling my hands in the pockets of my leather jacket, I fondly smile at the memories of my childhood. I don't know about typical, but when your mom is a renowned scriptwriter for period dramas, and your dad's a professor of literature at a prestigious university, I think it's to be expected. She looks up at me, a twinkle in her eye. It definitely explains this unfathomable love for Byron. I chuckle as we amble into another section of the gardens. I'm glad Dad passed on a love for most of the romantic poets. I may not respect some of Byron's life choices, but I can respect his passion. Bryony nods with a straight face. Ah, so then I suppose you'll bring your children to Disney World and Universal Studios. We chuckle, but I shake my head. No, I ended up in movies and TV series, but my first love is theater. If anything, my children would end up being dragged to plays on and off Broadway, to the West End, wherever good drama is to be found, really. Bryony smiles serenely. They'll definitely share your enthusiasm for it. As we stroll along, I fall silent, pondering where I would be getting the children I've never given a single thought to before this moment. When Bryony's eyes light up at a duck on a nearby pond, the desire to wrap an arm around her washes over me, but forcefully shoving it down, I stop with her as she gazes at it thoughtfully. I remember you saying how much you love theater. When was the last time you were in a play? She glances at me. What? Haven't Googled me yet? I tease, my brows raised. I thought that's what you Gen Zers do first. Ha! She scoffs with a smack to my arm. First of all, I did Google you, but it said prehistoric files haven't been converted to digital at this time. I pinch her cheek and laugh when she playfully rubs her cheek disgustedly. Second of all, my poor elderly friend, I'm actually a millennial. I was born in 96. My brows shoot up as my mouth forms an O. Well, that certainly changes things. Bryony looks up at me sharply. Does it? Why would it? I pause. Should it? End of chapter.